As a player, I've always strived to improve how stealthy I can be on the airsofting field. After all, if you can move without being noticed by your opponents as well as take enemies out without them noticing, well, that will greatly enhance the options that you have on the airsofting field. So ever since I upgraded to an HPA airsoft gun, this is a Wolverine Gen 2 Inferno for reference, I found that it's a whole lot quieter than any gas blowback or any AEG that I had ever used before in airsoft. So I wanted to do a little bit of an experiment. With a quieter airsoft gun, as well as a foam-filled suppressor, I wanted to see the advantages or possibly the disadvantages that this would give me and see how this would change up my gameplay style. And that is what we will be talking about in today's video. What's up, Airsofters? My name is Lane. I'm hiding behind this gun right now, but welcome to the BB Warrior. We're here to help you have a better time both on and off the airsofting field, and if you enjoy videos like this, you enjoy the informative discussions and topics and reviews that we have here on the channel, well, I'd love to have you join our community by hitting that subscribe button down below, and while you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon next to it to get updated when we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday here on the channel, and as well, make sure to check out the new community tab that YouTube has added. I will be putting in little teasers for videos that we'll be doing, updates for travel, if I'm going to any special fields, things like that. So let's talk about the conditions for my experiment. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to take as quiet of a system as I could. So I obviously went with the Wolverine Inferno. It's a very, very quiet system to begin with because it has a whole lot less moving parts than, say, an AEG or a gas blowback. And I wanted to pair that with a foam-filled suppressor. I've used these on AEGs before. I'll be comparing my experience with HPA and AEG in a system like this. And I really wanted to see how flexible this would make me and how being silent would improve or actually hinder my gameplay. So something that I've always found in Airsoft is that even if you are stealthful and getting in a position where the enemy doesn't see you, that obnoxious, windy sound of your AEG or the loud clack of your gas blowback gives you away, and you're kind of screwed at that point. And that is something that you don't experience with an HPA system because they are so quiet, whether you're going with like a Wolverine product or a ProTech or a Polar Star, whatever your flavor is, you don't really experience that because there's a whole lot less moving parts and they just make less noise overall. So I didn't want to do this as like a DMR setup because I thought that wouldn't be very fair for the experiment. So I have this in a really short gun. This is a Lancer Tactical PDW body, and I have obviously the suppressor on there, which gives me a couple extra inches, but I also made sure that I ran this really, really low to see just how quiet I could get the system to be, and so that it wouldn't be fair, because if I'm just picking people off from 150, 200 feet away, well, that wouldn't really prove to how stealthful I could be with a system like this, because you can do that with any AEG. So a Wolverine Inferno has a minimum PSI for operation of about 65, 60 PSI, so I didn't want to go, too low to where my system wouldn't work, so I put it right around 80 PSI, and what that actually allowed me to do is use a blue tag at my local field, which means I had a 5-foot minimum engagement distance because with my BBs, I was shooting like 300 FPS. So I thought that that was a real good thing about the system, and I will be doing a full review on the Inferno after I get a little bit more time with it, but it will be before Black Friday for sure. But I really liked how flexible I was able to be because of the FPS and the cream-filled banana. Well, I'm going to be calling it a cream-filled banana, a can, whatever name I want for it. This really did help me out. And even though the system is quiet, in an airsoft gun, there are two main components that are making sound. There are 3 parts for an actual suppressor on a real firearm. And one of them we just absolutely don't need to worry about, which is the sonic crack of the round going off. Obviously, BB Wars guns don't shoot at the speed of sound, so we don't have anything like that. And then the other 2 conditions you have are the projectile leaving the barrel and the action making noise. So obviously we eliminated one of those things. The action is very, very quiet, as we've already discussed. All it is a little valve or a solenoid moving in the Wolverine system, so that's real quiet. It's not like an AEG where you're pulling back your piston and your cylinder and you're moving gears and a motor. It's not like gas blowback where you have all that clankiness when it fires. And then going out of the barrel, the foam-filled suppressor definitely helped. I've shot this system with and without it on, and you do notice a little bit more of a pop when this is off. Now, it's still a very quiet system to begin with. any HPA gun is going to be that way. However, I noticed that this just helped, and this isn't even a very long suppressor. I mean, it's about the size of my hand. So I've seen guys that have like the big 308 style suppressors on their SR25, and you can't hear that gun from 10 feet away. That's kind of what I experienced with this because I was running it at such a low PSI. So the nice thing about the field that I was at, which was River City Airsoft out in Hamlin, New York, is it features a really nice mix of urban and woodsy gameplay. So what I would do, and my strategy for today, was to creep up along the wood line and take targets out as need be, and then because I had the small minimum engagement distance, when the time was right, move into the town and use that 5-foot minimum engagement distance to my advantage. Typically when I play Airsoft, I just go straight for that town, rushing in, guns blazing, but I wanted to play today a little bit more slowly and a little bit more methodically, and I noticed a huge advantage in that play style and being able to be flexible between being stealthy and just being aggressive because of the advantages that the system and the foam-filled suppressor allowed me. So what I would do often is I'd sneak into the town, go through the woods, sneak into the town. If I needed to move on a target, like if they found me, because a lot of this is based off of your skills as a player, you can't wholly rely on your weapon system. So if someone did notice me, I had the firepower to be really aggressive, and I had that low FPS so I could really get on people, which a lot of people don't expect. However, then, once they're dead or no one notices me or the guy just forgets that I'm there, I have that quietness. And what I often found myself experiencing is that I'd be on one side of the building and a guy would be on the other side of the building, and they wouldn't know that I was shooting. That's just how quiet this system was. And that is obviously a huge advantage, because if I was using, like, let's say an AEG, I also own a Crytek, they would have known that I was there. They would have called out to their buddies that I was there, and I would have been walking back to the dead box a whole lot more. Now, like I said a minute ago, you can't wholly rely on your weapon platform. A lot of it is going to rely on your kit and your experience and skill set as a player. So if you're walking around and just high caps or jingling, that's not going to be helping you very much when you're stealthy. Or if you walk around like you're carrying a bag of bricks on your back, well, that's not going to help either. So I'm more of a scrawny guy, so that kind of helps out. I don't have too much weight. I would keep my kit really, really low weight. When I was running this, all I had was my chest rig, and then I had my HPA tank and a backpack on my bag, and I was running my flat pack, so it wasn't very big to begin with. So I had a nice low profile. I'm sure if I really wanted to get into it, I could have thrown on like a leafy suit or something just to help. But I noticed that this system greatly improved my flexibility when I was switching between going like full-on assault versus being stealthy. And when I was stealthy, it made me feel like I was in a Tom Clancy game. I mean, it felt unfair that I could be that quiet. And I really have to applaud Wolverine on making such a great system. I don't know who makes the can. You can find these anywhere. You can find them especially on like Asian airsoft websites. I know a lot of the websites here in the US are a little bit iffy on them. Amped Airsoft sells a couple of them, I know that. But I just think that having a silent airsoft gun definitely has some advantages. Now, does it have some disadvantages? Slightly. So one thing that could be an issue for you is having a suppressor is going to add a little bit of length onto your airsoft gun, depending what you choose. And having a front-heavy airsoft gun, in my personal experience, isn't the best, especially if you are playing in a very, very urban facility, if there's a bunch of rooms that you're going through. And that's why I went with the PDW, mainly because I play in a lot of those fields. So if I need to, I can fold the stock. I will be doing a discussion on folding stocks and things like that. But I found that this could be an issue depending on how tight of corners you're going through, how big you are as a person, and how comfortable you are at pieing corners and things like that. So beyond that, another issue that I ran into, and this is due to a couple of reasons, I found that when people don't know where they got hit from, some people think that it's a ricochet, or, they do that classic look around and, yeah, I didn't get hit. And they keep going about their day. And that is when you put a couple more rounds into them till they call hit. But I just thought that'd be something to mention. It is insanely satisfying, I should mention, when you're able to kill someone and they don't know where you're from and they call it and they just look around and they give up looking for you. That is one of the most satisfying feelings that I have ever had in Airsoft. So, to conclude, I think that having a silent airsoft gun, the very small disadvantages that you have, which are mainly going to be the extra length on your airsoft gun, I think that the pros outweigh the cons significantly. Now, this is going to depend on your platform. If you're running a foam can on an AEG, well, your mileage may vary compared to my experience with an HPA airsoft gun, because when we talked about the noise that the actual system makes firing the BB, that is greatly louder with an AEG than an HPA setup. So I'd recommend getting something like a Sorbo pad for your piston. That's going to help reduce some of the noise. If you have a better shim job, or if you even pick up something like a Gate Titan. My buddy has a Gate Titan in his Crytek, and his Crytek is way quieter than mine. It just sounds so much cleaner. And if you have a gas blowback, well, unless you have a Tokyo Marui MK23, you're kind of sorry out of luck. You might as well buy an amplifier at that point and try to scare some little kids. But I don't really think that you can go wrong on an AEG or an HPA gun with a foam-filled suppressor. It's not going to help as much on the AEG, but let's be honest, looking cool matters, and suppressors look pretty damn cool. So that is going to really do it for this video, guys. I want to know what you think about silent or suppressed airsoft guns, I should say, in airsoft. And do you run one yourself? And if you do run a quiet setup like this, whether it is HPA or AEG, or somehow you found a way to make a gas blowback quiet, well, I'd like to know how it's affected how you play as a player. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. I love reading the discussions that you guys have, and it really does mean a lot to me seeing the discussions down there. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for staying until the end. If you enjoyed the video and you'd like to be a part of our community, well, we'd love to have you here, and you can do that by hitting that subscribe button down below. There's going to be a lot of fun things coming out. I have like 4 or 5 reviews on the table right now, including the engine that's in this gun. I got some gear reviews. I got a camera review, actually. I'm going to be doing a review of the ATN shot track now that I'm doing more gameplay. There's going to be more discussions like this, and it's going to be a fun holiday season now that I have a little bit more free time. Make sure to check us out on social media. Links will be down in the description below, as well as in the end card. This has been Lane from the BB Warrior, discussing the advantages and slight disadvantages of a suppressed airsoft gun, and I will see you all next time.